YouTube, welcome. Against the spread here, the video go over our top 10 draft picks of the 2020 season. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell to get notified of new videos. Help support the channel. Now let's get down to business. Our team's been dialed into fantasy football for the past 15 years, and we're ready to spread our expertise to the masses. Now here's our top 10 fantasy picks compared to those so-called experts.
Locked into the channel here, we have three of our experts, TB4, BX Star, and Tim Nato. We're going to be comparing all of our top picks to the so-called experts. Ranked number one across the board, we have Christian McCaffrey. And majority of us have Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott as number two. Do you guys have any opinions on why Christian McCaffrey should be number one, or should he go to number two?
Well, I mean, last year the number one consensus pick was Saquon Barkley at number one, and we see how that played out. You always got to deal with injuries and other things such as like who's around you. And Christian McCaffrey, he was a complete beast.
Yeah, with Saquon though, he's kind of had a couple quarterbacks. He didn't really have the receivers fully healthy. I can see him coming back for number one. I mean, maybe some of that pass rush, pass differential kind of gets pushed off. His receiving core is going to be completely healthy, so he's going to be good to go. I think he's going to get a little more support from the offense. They're going to be passing a little bit more, which should alleviate some of the pressure that he's going to get as a running back, and he's going to get a little more carries.
Yeah, it's interesting because Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, they are basically the focal points of their offense. You don't have any other football stars on either of those teams, There's no receiver. You don't have Odell Beckham on the Giants anymore. There's Cam Newton's not on the Panthers anymore. It's basically teams are going to be focusing on Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley.
People forget Olsen left. He's on Seattle now. So they're going to even have less options in Carolina, which makes Christian even more of an option.
Yeah, but Christian McCaffrey is kind of like the complete package. I mean, he is the third person in NFL history to rush for more than 1,000 yards and also receive more than 1,000 yards in the same season.
And you kind of got to go with the reigning champ. And Christian McCaffrey, with all the times he touched the ball, I mean, they're kind of abusing him over there in Carolina, but it's going to be the same with Saquon. But, it's just you got to kind of go with the guy who's been doing it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So if we have number two, the consensus is all around the board is number one is Christian McCaffrey. But number two, I and Tim Nato both have Saquon Barkley as number two, where BXR has Ezekiel Elliott as number two. Why do you think he's going to be climbing the ranks that high? Why do you think he's above Saquon?
Well, last year Ezekiel Elliott had 1,357 rushing yards, which is still like 350 yards more than Saquon Barkley last year. He has also had 420 receiving yards on 54 receptions. So, I mean, he was really utilized in his offense. So, total fantasy points wise, I mean, he was higher than Saquon Barkley, so I had to push him down one.
There's no doubt about it, but Tony Pollard as the number two back in Dallas, he's pretty much a beast. I mean, he's a really good number two punch back where he's going to get 15 carries a game, maybe two or three reception options, he's when you have a 1-2 punch back. I mean, it's hard to take it away. Where Saquon's gonna he's
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. But Ezekiel Elliott's been doing this for a few years now, and he's been consistently putting up big numbers. And if you can, the 1-2 punch really
when he's healthy.
Yeah, but Ezekiel Elliott really hasn't missed time. He had the little holdout issue, but it really didn't cost him in the end. And Barkley, any running back, you look at all the years where the number one running back has gone down. You can't trust that. Injuries are a surprise. But the thing you were saying about the 1-2 punch back, I can kind of argue that actually helps the number one back, because you look at Alvin Kamara. Look what he did without Mark Ingram. He put up way better. You can put up better numbers when you have the load taken off you. You have the focus taken off you. You can kind of excel in that way.
And that's kind of why I have Derrick Henry in my top five. I have him reigning at number 5, but Derrick Henry is basically a one back. I mean, you look at Deion Lewis, who was supporting him last year, and he basically was irrelevant. I mean, they thought he was going to come in from New England and be this down two back who's going to be this 10 receptions a game, and he got nothing. He was maybe a reception, maybe 3-4 carries a game, and basically was just there to give Derrick Henry a breather.
Speaking of Derrick Henry, we all kind of got him around the number 5, number 6 spot here. And I just feel like Derrick Henry is a completely different breed. And we're talking about PPR, and he's not the biggest receiving back, but he's the truest running back that we got on this list. So I mean, what do you guys think about Derrick Henry? Do you think he can keep up that that bruising back? The guy who's going to get the ball 25, 30 times a game, and the only attention you get take off him is the play action pass of Ryan Tannehill and a couple good receivers. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Tannehill's going to have a breakout year. He's going to get the ball down. He had a lot of consistency towards the end of the year. He's still going to get 25 to 30 carries a game. He's going to be consistent. He'll probably average 110, 115 yards per game like he did last year. And that's why I have him in the top 5. I think the experts, they have him at 7. Looking at him at 7, I don't think, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to really be that number 6 back that they think he's going to be. There's just too many options in KC, whereas Derrick Henry, I think, he's the go-to guy. He's it. And then they're going to be relying on Tannehill to throw the ball
But the real
downfield.
question here now is Derrick Henry, is he going to have the same breakout season as he did last year? Because if he's not producing, they're going to be trying to throw the ball more. And the thing is, he's not a catch back. Granted, he had a few catches. He had 18 receptions on 24 targets. But his main focus is the power game. He's running up the middle. He's just bowling over guys.
And with Derrick Henry, I think it's actually the last 2 years, because last year he was pretty much the main back the whole time. The year before that, Tennessee basically tried to give Dion Lewis as big a share as Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry really didn't come on until late in the season, and he probably won a lot of people their leagues because he was running for 150 to 200 yards at the last quarter of the season.
I think
which
they
is
started
prime
off
fantasy.
They started off really slow though. I think they were trying to overutilize Dion Lewis. They thought Dion Lewis was the Tariq Cohen, James White type of back, and that's not really what Dion Lewis was. He's a very complimentary back. I think if he had a better option like the Sony Michel when he was doing really well when Dion Lewis was there, and you look at like some of the backs that came out of New England, and he just was not the same back in Tennessee that he was in New England. And when you have Derrick Henry, and towards the end of the year, he's taking the ball from the 5-yard line and scoring touchdowns towards the end of the year. I mean, it's a much different scenario than trying to throw the ball 2 and out, quick little option to Dion Lewis. I mean,
yeah. Don, what do you guys think about Delvin Cook and Alvin Kamara?
I think Kamara's going to have a breakout year. Last year he was kind of under the gun with not having Ingram getting shipped off to Baltimore.
He disappointed a lot of people. He was
myself included.
Consensus number 3 last year, and can he live up to that hype again? Because he didn't do it this past season.
I think last year he was plagued by a couple injuries. This year he's kind of plagued with, it's his. I think it's his ego and his pride. He was a top 2 or 3 back arguably last year, and without Ingram, that 1-2 punch, I think injuries and then them being in bad situations where they had to throw the ball more than run the ball put him in situations where he just didn't get the same opportunities as he would have.
Well, the Saints is not really like a rushing offense. Drew Brees loves to throw the ball. I mean, Alvin Kamara last year only had 171 attempts rushing, and I mean, he didn't even break 1,000 yards. I mean, he only had 800, like 797. And he was only on the field for 59% of the snaps, offensive snaps.
Yeah, with Alvin Kamara, he did miss a few weeks. But I did notice that in that Saints offense, when you would think, they would try and establish him as the key player of their offense, they really weren't utilizing him as well as I think they could. Hopefully they correct that this season, but you never know. They do have the best wide receiver in the NFL with Michael Thomas, and Drew Brees. He loves to wing it, and he can wing it to anyone. So you can never key in on one player in that Saints offense.
That's right.
What's interesting is the experts have Dalvin Cook as number 4, Kamara at number 5. I have Kamara at number 4. I actually have Dalvin Cook at number 7. You guys both have him at number 4. I think that Dalvin Cook has an off year. I think last year he was plagued with injuries. I think with Kirk Cousins, there's really no consistency there. They're losing Diggs. Adam Thielen had some injuries last year, and to be honest, Kirk Cousins can't really throw worth a damn. So if you really look at the end of the day, they're going to be forcing the ball to Dalvin Cook, and people are going to be stacking the box. They're going to have 7 in the box, and he's going to have a tough year.
Well, you know what? Why don't you go ahead, BX Star?
All right, well, I mean, Dalvin Cook himself, I mean, he had 250 attempts rushing. I mean, he had over 1,000 yards. I mean, I know he's not like the greatest rusher that is out there, but I mean, he definitely can get to the sidelines. I mean, he's like a Tariq
Yeah.
Cohen. He gets to the sidelines and he'll turn it upfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely a step ahead of Tariq Cohen. He is a complete back, and you know, he, like you said last year, he had over 250 rushing attempts because, you know, the Vikings didn't trust Kirk Cousins, and you know, teams were expecting Dalvin Cook to get the ball, and you know, very few had success at shutting him down.
Well,
I think he can continue on that.
I think a lot of people forget that when you have two arguably number one receivers, it's very difficult to try to stack the box to stop the run. So at that point, your offense becomes, hey, do we stop Thielen? Do we stop Cooks? Do we stop Rudolph?
You
Or
mean Diggs.
Diggs, I'm sorry. Or do we, you know, try to stack the box and do we shut down, you know, Dalvin Cook? I mean, you really have two options. You know, Kirk Cousins, inconsistencies. They're probably thinking, hey, if, you know, we can force them to throw the ball, maybe we can get a turnover or two. Maybe he's going to throw, you know, 2-3 picks that game, and then all of a sudden that game gets, you know, swung the other direction where they lose. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the Vikings struggled that year.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, at first I agree. You know, you have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, two really good wide receivers, and you know, Kirk Cousins was built up to be, you know, a pretty solid quarterback. But I think early on in the year he showed that, you know, he wasn't that, and then, you know, that's why the Vikings turned to Dalvin Cook to really carry the load, and then I mean, teams still couldn't stop it.
I mean, the real question mark here is now, is Dalvin Cook going to stay healthy?
And he did have trouble in his rookie year, and you know, he has had some hamstring issues that have really plagued him. But you know, I don't know.
So at number 8, I mean, we have Michael Thomas from the experts, and then I have him ranked at number 6. BXR has him ranked at number 5, and then Tim Nato has him ranked at number 8. Number 8 tying with the experts. I mean, we both have him pretty high in our draft orders. You know, I mean, Drew Brees is going to feed the man the rock. I mean, it comes down to, you know, if Kamara can stay healthy, you know, keep some pressure on the run. Drew Brees can stay healthy, make some consistent passes. You know, Thomas is going to be a consistent 10 to 12 targets a game.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is an absolute beast, and I do have him at number 8, but he is my number 1 wide receiver on the board. And
True.
a big reason of that is, you know, in fantasy, you know, I just believe there's so many receivers out there. You can do without a top wide receiver, but you need those running backs because the elite ones are so few and far between. But Michael Thomas, you're right, especially in PPR, you know, he's gonna get his catches. The only downside of Michael Thomas is, you know, he's not the big play guy. You know, he's gonna get, you know, intermediate first down type of catches. But I don't see him, you know, making those 50-yard plays like, say, a Tyreek Hill.
So the reason why I got Michael Thomas high up on the list, I mean, because we're doing this on a PPR standpoint, I mean, he had 148 receptions and 185 targets. His total fantasy points from last year was 375. Now, that's greater than Zeke, Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, Derrick Henry. The only one on this list that's actually higher than him would actually be Christian McCaffrey.
So how do you stay with that consistency, though? Because, I mean, you look at how many times he was targeted. You look at how many times he has dropped passes. He doesn't drop a lot of passes. However, I mean, is he Larry Fitzgerald? Does he have those types of hands where he's only going to drop
think
like
he
think
is.
he does.
34? I mean,
He is.
maybe.
Look at him throughout it. What has
The
he been in
thing
the league
was,
for 3 years?
Drew Brees was hurt. He broke his thumb, and they had to do surgery,
that's what
so he was gone.
True.
So
Teddy
they had to bring
Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
So do you think that Jared Cook has a better year because Michael Thomas is going to get a lot of attention?
Yeah, I mean, Jared Cook might have a good year, but I mean, I think as a tight end, you know, he's probably way down on the list.
Agreed, but do you put Jared Cook in
You
your
think
top 10
Jared
tight
Cook?
end?
You think Jared Cook? I mean,
But they all knew Michael
Maybe.
Thomas from the get-go anyway. They
Yeah.
tried double carding him.
He's
He would
been like
still
that.
make insane grabs over people. So
yeah, in the
It's so hard
intermediate
to stop
game,
him.
you can't stop Michael Thomas, especially when you got Drew Brees thrown to him. Drew Brees is going to put it in the place where only Michael Thomas can catch it, and he will catch it.
you're right. He
That's
didn't
fair.
get a
And-
lot of touchdowns. I mean, he did only have 9 last season. So that's really not that much. But remember, he still had 375 total fantasy points for the year.
Well, yeah, you're talking all those catches, and that's despite the Saints and Drew Brees being known to spread the ball around, and he still puts up those numbers. He still gets that type of production. I mean, you can't.
So
you can't
I would
argue with
agree.
that.
I mean, if you have the option, you have the ability to get Michael Thomas as the number 1, number 2 receiver. You take him. There's no doubt. If you can get him in the top 7, top 5, in the draft. I mean, I think you're getting a steal there. What I do want to add is, when you look at like the number 2 receiver, we're very inconsistent on that. You're looking at the experts; they don't even have a number 2 receiver in the top 10. And if you look at all of what we have, I have DeAndre Hopkins as number 2. And both of you guys have Tyreek Hill, and to me, I mean, Tyreek Hill, yes, he is the number 2 receiver, but he's going to be sharing a big load when it comes to, Clyde Edwards, and you look at Sammy Watkins, he's going to have a bounce back year, and then you have Kelsey. I mean, how many targets do you think Tyreek's going to have?
I mean, it's not so much at Tyreek Hill. You're not looking at Tyreek Hill because he's going to catch the ball 10 times a game. It's when he does touch the ball, it's explosive. It's magical when Tyreek Hill touches the ball. Every time Tyreek Hill
doesn't give me points though.
Every time Tyreek Hill touches the ball, you got the chance to go for 6. It could be a 60-yard touchdown on a quick pass, or he can burn any corner in the league. And that's what the biggest worry about Tyreek Hill is he going to get injured? I don't really have a worry about him, not getting the ball enough, even though that the Chiefs are going to score 30, 35 points a game.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And right now, Tyreek Hill has a pulled hamstring. I mean, we're looking at this, 8/24, right? So, I mean, is he going to be okay in a couple weeks to start the season? Yes, most likely. Hamstring injuries, they linger. I mean, it's one of those injuries that's like, hey, it doesn't bother you today, it doesn't bother you a week or two from now, but the second you're dehydrated or something goes wrong, like, you can tweak it very easily. That's why I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins as my number 2 receiver. I think Kyle Murray has a breakout year. I think, with the addition of, Kenyon Drake and, they still have Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald, I think he's just going to have so many different options. And DeAndre Hopkins is still the guy that's going to get the Michael Thomas types of targets.
The thing with Tyreek Hill, though, I mean, their offense is explosive all around, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly who you're trying to stop here. If you're trying to stop Tyreek Hill, I mean, you have Kelsey then, and now they also have this new back,
Clyde
Edwards, yeah. So it's going to be hard to stop them completely. So he's going to be open.
So the experts have him as a number 6. I mean, you guys both have him in the. Well, you don't even have him. Nato has him in the top 10.
Yeah, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and
he's still an unknown though. He's
an unknown, but it's simply based off of where he plays, what position he plays, and what team he plays on. The Kansas City Chiefs running back, you could put me back there, and I'm gonna put up top 20 fantasy football numbers. It's just basically the system that he plays in. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got all those weapons. Someone's bound to be open, and the running back is gonna get his share.
So one thing I will call out, I do have 4 receivers in the top 10. I think this is more of a wide receiver draft when it comes to a passing league. I have Michael Thomas, I have DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Mike Evans. The reason I have Mike Evans in the top 10, and I think this is a stretch, but Tom Brady is coming into a team where he's never had a receiver as talented as Mike Evans.
Besides for Randy Moss.
Okay, fair. Randy Moss is
a
freak athlete.
Antonio Brown. But I mean,
that is okay. You can't count Antonio Brown when he came in week 2 for a 1 week.
He had him for like 1 week. He caught a touchdown.
He caught a touchdown.
I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe Tampa Bay, pulls a fast one, and all of a sudden they got Antonio Brown too. I mean, maybe
Tom Brady. I mean, he's had a lot of offense on his side. That's what's made him like the GOAT.
I don't think he's ever had a better 1-2 punch-out receiver as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
I agree.
And it's almost, I feel like it's
Gronk. Gronk, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate.
We'll get to Gronk in another time.
For sure.
But, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you have Mike Evans. You said you have Mike Evans at number 10 on your list.
I think he's going to have a breakout year. He's going to have his best year in his career.
I mean, last year, Jameis Winston, was a guy who would just sling it to either him or Godwin, and, both of them put up those numbers. And I don't know if Tom Brady is as willing to just throw it up there for both those guys.
I think he has way more accuracy than Jameis Winston. I think he trusts his receiver. I mean, there was times in New England where he just threw the ball up to Edelman. Back in the day, he used to throw the ball up to Amendola. I mean, he even Wes Welker. Back in the day, he used to just chuck the rock to him. And if Godwin can step in and be more of a like a number 2 slot receiver type, and let Mike Evans be the over the top, I think they're going to have a dominant year.
They're not those type. Both of them are 1-2 playing on the outside receivers.
We'll see.
He's gonna with Tom Brady there, I think he's going to be able to take advantage of that, and Tom Brady's going to be really happy to have both those guys out there. It's just, is he willing to take the risk that Jameis Winston did to put up those numbers?
Yeah. So what? Okay, so we're getting a little bit lengthy. I wanna talk a little about Aaron Jones and how BXStar has him ranked at number 10. I don't see them in the experts. I don't see him on the list anywhere else. Why do you think he's ranked number 10? How does he sneak into your number 10?
Well, he snuck in there because of also Devontae Adams, old reliable there, except on the fact that...
Two Packer players in the top 10.
I know, it's
ballsy.
It's ballsy. I'm not even a Packer fan, but
I would hope not.
Aaron Jones, yeah. And also
Go
Devontae
Bears.
Adams he had turf toe so he was like lingering for, I think it was like a span of like 6 to 8 weeks. Like he was just not in a lot of snaps. He was only in it he was in it 63% of the time, and he still almost had 1,000 yards receiving. 5 total touchdowns, but 83 catches on 127 targets.
So even with Devontae Adams being hurt and still putting up those numbers, how do you have Aaron Jones in your top 10?
I'm saying the pass opens up the run, and Aaron Jones is a quick back.
Okay.
And that guy could really.
I don't disagree with you, except for Dylan's an absolute monster. I think he's the new Derrick Henry that's gonna be coming out. I think he's gonna demand about 12 to 15 carries a game, and he might even get 2 or 3 receptions a game. I think he's gonna be an absolute beast. I think he's gonna get a lot of short 3rd and 1 yardage. He's gonna get a lot of goal line carries, and he's gonna be alleviating some of the Aaron Jones era.
Yeah, Aaron Jones did have to deal with Jamal Williams, and Jamal Williams did steal a good amount of touches from Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones was a stud regardless. But, you're right, around the goal line, A.J. Dillon, he could come in and take some scores out of the...
Oh, he's definitely going to be taking some scores.
The thing about the NFC North, though, they're known as like the black and blue league. They're known for running the ball down your throat, especially when it comes to like cold. So having Aaron Jones and Dillon now, they're going to have complementary backs there. They're going to give Aaron Jones the ball frequently, and they're also going to use this new guy that they got.
But they have Aaron Rodgers, and we want to throw the ball. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that just wants to hold back.
I kind of agree. Aaron Rodgers had a down year last year, big time. And, I think, that stigma of the NFC North being the black and blue, bruising league, defense and run game. I think that's kind of going out the window. You saw the Bears kind of run the ball worth a damn last season. The Lions really don't run the ball, and maybe they stepped it up this year. They drafted a new running back, but you're still looking at, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Devontae Adams. We'll see if Aaron. I don't think Aaron Jones. It'll be tough for Aaron Jones to repeat what he did last year, especially with the new guy coming in and taking away some of his touches.
There's no doubt about it, and again with Aaron Rodgers being in contract year and them drafting a new quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers kind of seeing the writing on the wall as he is posted on Twitter, he's also in a spot where he wants to be throwing the ball. He wants to be making a name for himself because he wants to either stay and get a contract extension and show, hey, this is his team, this is his legacy, or he's going to pull the Brett Favre and go to the Jets or Minnesota and have a few more productive years and try to take another team to the Super Bowl and just expand upon his legacy. I can see it going both ways.
All right, well, I appreciate everyone coming out here to hear our top 10 picks for 2020 football season here. I appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe, turn on notification bell. This is our first time to a YouTube channel, so we appreciate any support.
And if you guys agree or disagree, please comment and like below. And
yeah, let us know what your guys' top 10 picks are. And if you think one of us is dead wrong, let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Thank you.